Unpopular opinion. Going to trial in a DUI case might be worth it. It depends on your situation. I'm going to use this video to wrap up my series on trial defense of DUI cases in California. I want to bring it all together to, I think, a common concept that I keep coming back to in the defense of all cases, but definitely in the defense of DUI cases. And that is whether or not you want to go to trial in a DUI case might have a lot to do with what is at stake for you and your situation. Remember, no matter how bad the evidence looks at first, even if the tests are quite clearly showing you above the limit, you have every right to go to trial in your DUI case. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty at that jury trial, unless you're willing to waive those rights in exchange for example, a plea deal. Many cases resolved by plea deals. But that doesn't mean you have to go that way. Nobody has to. That's not what this country was built on. You're allowed to go to trial. If you go to trial and lose, the punishment that you get may not be all that different from a lot of the plea bargains you get on the table. But that's not always true. Sometimes there are some differences. If you feel like you're getting something meaningful in exchange for waiving your rights to a trial, then by all means, you and your lawyer should probably focus more on negotiating, just getting the penalties down and getting on with your life more quickly. But if you're in a situation where the trial is really important to you, either because you have a professional obligation, you really need to be able to drive uninterrupted for work and you can't afford a DUI conviction, or if hypothetically you're not a citizen and the immigration status you're on is going to be compromised if you're found guilty of DUI. This comes up often in my clients who are on deferred acts for child arrivals or DACA, people on that status. Or do you just not like the idea of having a conviction on your record? Is it just important to you to not have that conviction? If it is, then investing in a trial may make a whole lot of sense, especially if you and your attorney believe that the risk involved with going to trial isn't all that high. A lot of people will sometimes ask me, like, Joe, what are the chances of me winning this trial? And no matter how good or how bad I think a case is, I never like to put a hard number on something like 50-50, 60-40, etc. I think it's inevitably misleading for anybody to talk like that because so much can change. For example, who's going to be in your jury? You don't know about that until you actually get to court. I will say, though, that, the beauty of our system is that randomness that jury trials can add. Those 12 independent people could see the case totally differently than what the DA and the judge and even your own lawyer might see it as, and they might return a good result. At the end of the day, if going to trial is that important to you, you should probably heavily consider doing it, especially if you and your lawyer don't think that the punishment after trial, if you lose, is going to be all that bad. I mean, consider a situation where if you don't think you're risking a whole lot by going to trial, but you have a really big payout if you get that acquittal, no conviction, no suspension, etc., or all those whole host of things. If that payout is really important to you relative to the risk that comes with actually going to trial, I think that's probably the better analysis to decide whether or not trial is a good fit for you. And I think that's a good conversation to have with your lawyer. Is it really worth the risk and why? It just might be. And it's definitely something that I think that I think everybody should think about carefully when they're fighting any case, but including a DUI case where I think all too many people kind of just assume that a lot of these rights don't have any meaning. They do. That's why you should discuss them with your attorney before making any critical decisions in your DUI case. So, like I said before, if you or a loved one is fighting a DUI case in California, please feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call.